Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Imagine Crafts YouTube channel. Katy here, and I'm excited to be joining you for another year of card making and crafting. And today I thought I would do a New Year, New Beginnings card. A lot of people are going to be doing Valentine's Day cards, so I thought I would do something just a little bit different to start off the new year. So I'm using the Hutson Mondo Sakura stamp set. They're also known as cherry blossoms, which are synonymous with new beginnings and fresh starts and things like that. So I thought it'd be fun to use that stamp set today. And the stamp set that I'm going to use for the sentiments is the Waffle Flower New Beginning stamp set. So I showed you that there. And now I'll be doing some ink blending, but I'm going to use some eyeshadow brushes. So I always recommend hot press watercolor paper. You can, and that it's 100% cotton. So you could use cold pressed 100% cotton paper. It's just going to have a little bit more texture than the hot pressed. I find the hot pressed is a lot smoother and is great for stamping and embossing and things like that. So here's my eyeshadow brushes. I'm going to be using the pencil type end where it's like the smudger end. So any, of your smudger brushes will work great for this. The inks I'll use is Delicata Pink Shimmer, Memento inks in Angel Pink and Rosebud. I won't be using the VersaFine Clear inks. I wasn't sure if I would need those, and I didn't end up needing them. I've got some Versamark and some white embossing powder. So my panel, they come pre-cut, and they measure 5x7. So I left it 5x7, and then I'll use my A2 layering dies from Waffle Flower to die cut it out at 4¼ by 5½. I wanted it to be the same size as an A2 card front, so that's the size that'll be, and then I'm going to add a silver frame around that later on. So I'm using the powder brush from Cat Scrappiness. The powder that's in there is kaolin clay, works beautifully for an anti-static powder. I can't recommend that enough. You don't need that type of tool that I'm using there. You could put some in a little dish with a makeup powder brush and get the same effect. I do recommend a new powder brush because you don't want oils and things that get onto the bristles. In fact, I would recommend not touching even this type of tool that I showed you with your fingers to prevent oils and stuff from getting on it. But here I stamped twice on camera, but I did ink this up 4 times with some Versamark ink, and now I've added my white embossing powder, and I'm going to heat set it. Now I start at the back with the heat setting. You don't have to, but my gun's heating up, so I can go back and forth on the front and the back, and it keeps the warping down when you do that as your tool's heating up. Or you can hold your gun off to the side and then go right to it. So now I'm going to get started. So I'm using that smudger pencil side edge of this eyeshadow brush that I have, and I do use the fluffy side initially on this petal. This is probably the widest petal that's on this stamp set, and I'm just applying ink. So I'm starting off with the Angel Pink. I will do all the petals in Angel Pink. I'll start at the bottom and work my way up, and each time I want to add more color, I always start at the bottom. That's going to deepen that color that's towards the center of the petal, and center bottom, of the center bottom of the whole flower, I guess. And then I'm just dragging it up with the remaining ink that's on the makeup brush. Now, once I get all the petals done, and I kind of skip through, I do show you 3 or so on here, and then I finish those up so you can see them all done. And then I'm going to come in with some Rosebud. I am adding a little bit more Angel Pink to this particular petal to bring it up a little bit, but then I'm going to come in with some Rosebud and just come around the outer edges. Now, embossing this is great in using the eyeshadow brushes because it gives you that barrier, and you can really use the eyeshadow brushes just like you would on your eye, where you're bringing it right to the edge and you're able to blend those colors together. And if you don't have different, 2 different colors, like I'm using the Angel Pink and Rosebud, you can use the same color. You're going to add more of it. You know, so if I only had angel pink, I would put angel pink. And as you saw, the colors deepened there on the bottom. You know, as you keep adding the color, it's just going to do the same thing. It's just going to darken up those colors. So you can get away with one ink color if you don't have a bunch, and just build up the color that way. So now I wanted to see what it would look like with the pink shimmer Delicata ink. So I'm going to do the rest of the flowers in the pink shimmer Delicata ink because I thought it was so pretty once I started adding it, and very similar to what's on the panel already with the angel pink. Now the difference is it's got a shimmer to it, and there isn't much work to it, right? You know, you can get the same effect without adding the angel pink first. So pink shimmer Delicata ink is what's going on right now, but then I'm going to come in with one of the brush sticks from Imagine, and these are like dense foam, spongy tools, and I'm using the straight edge. It's like a wedge, and I'll add some rosebud to the pink shimmer Delicata ink to give the petals a little bit more definition, and it looks really, really pretty. So here's that brush stick that I'm using, and just tapping it on the top of the ink pad, and then coming in at the very bottom and you know, blending the rosebud ink on. And you can see here, once I move my hand, the difference with adding that little bit of rosebud to those petals at the very bottom and compared to the ones there that are on the top. So just a little bit of rosebud to bring out a little bit more depth in those petals. And I thought it looked really, really pretty. Plus side to the brush stick is that it will also wipe away the ink that you have on your embossing powder, and you won't have to necessarily take an extra cloth to wipe it away either. So I liked the pink shimmer so much that I'm adding it to the larger petals here to give those a little bit of a shimmer. And it's hard to pick that subtle shimmer up on camera, and I wish it would, but it's so, so pretty in real life, the delicateness of that pink shimmer, especially on the big Sakura. So here I'm adding some bamboo leaves ink to a couple. There's only 3-4 petals, not petals, but leaves. So I'm just using that paper stump blender to add that in because I needed a fine point with the embossing. It kind of took in some of that space. And so I just needed something that was skinny and narrow, and this tool happened to be perfect for it. I'm also using some espresso truffle and rich cocoa to the small, tiny little branch that's in there. And now I die cut my panel, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 now. And now I'm taking the Essentials Rectangles by Ellen. They cut out your rectangle, but they give you a frame, a skinny frame. And so I used what's great is you get like 15 dies, so you get all the size ranges. You get the front side would be your 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 measurements down, and then the other side is all the other in-betweens. So I'm using one of those dies to create this panel out of some Star Dream metallic in silver cardstock because I wanted just a soft border. I thought about white, but it was too light. The silver was perfect. And so now I'm using some gray flannel ink to stamp my New Year, New Beginnings stamp. And I wanted something that was darker than gray but lighter than black, and the gray flannel was perfect for that. So I stamped that twice, and our front panel is done. Now we're just going to work on the card base. So I will add this panel to the front using some on-point glue, and it again measures an A2 size card, so it's going to fit right there edge to edge on our card base. The card base is Accent Opaque 110 pound, and I'm using my Misty pressure tool that I made to just push everything down and adhere it down to that card base. Now I'm using my other stamp positioning tool. This is the Couture Creations Precision Stamp Press. I don't like to bend up my cardstock and all that, so this having open edges allows me to be able to do stamping like this. So I used the Pink Shimmer Delicata ink for the inside. That's so pretty, isn't it? I need to add a little bit more to the center, so I'll do that with those two flowers. And then the sentiment I'm going to use, which I didn't pick up on camera, I do apologize, but it's wishing you a new year filled with peace, joy, and happiness. And that also was stamped in the gray flannel Memento ink. And that finishes up the card, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video.